What if Obi-Wan didn't follow Padme to Mustafar? Let's begin today's story in the ruined Jedi Temple. Obi-Wan and Yoda have just discovered that Anakin Skywalker, now Lord Vader, is responsible for the destruction upon the Jedi Temple. This broke Obi-Wan and ignited Yoda's resolve. He tells Kenobi that they must destroy the Sith. The Grand Master instructs Obi-Wan to find Anakin and defeat him, whilst he goes and beats Sidious. Obi-Wan didn't want to do this, but he knew in his heart he had to. In the original timeline, he goes to Padme, who says she doesn't know where he is, but he can sense she is lying. This causes him to sneak aboard her ship, and Padme goes to Mustafar to find Anakin. From here, the rest is history. But let's say in today's story that Obi-Wan doesn't follow Padme to Mustafar, and instead trusts her word that she doesn't know where Anakin is. This means that Padme would leave for Mustafar by herself, landing her ship and giving her husband a massive hug. She didn't believe what Obi-Wan had told her the previous day, that Anakin had turned to the dark side and killed younglings. Anakin asks what she is doing out here, to which she explains what Obi-Wan told her. Anakin was already far gone, but his tether to the light was Padme, and he would do anything for her. In the original timeline, these two speak for a few moments, and Padme's constant mentioning of Obi-Wan ignites a flame inside Anakin. Then, without her knowledge, Kenobi shows up and Anakin chokes Padme to the floor. In this story, however, Kenobi isn't on Mustafar and won't show himself, which means that Anakin's anger remains internalized. Padme would continue to talk to him, trying to speak sense into her husband. Anakin tried to explain his motives. He said that everything he did for her, for their unborn child. He is only ensuring her survival. Padme raises her voice, screaming at Anakin that he murdered kids, slaughtered his friends, and the people who he had grown up with. When Padme became visibly upset, Anakin's anger grew. Who was she to tell him that what he did was wrong? He has done everything for her, he thought to himself. Padme would notice the hatred in him and realize that she is taking the wrong approach. Screaming and reprimanding him won't do anything. She tells Anakin that she loves him and that she knows this isn't him. The person he has become is only an extension of what the Emperor made him. But Anakin believed the Emperor revealed only what was buried deep inside. Padme began breaking through to Anakin when she began breaking down the recent events. She explained Palpatine's manipulation, how he has always acted close to him but then shunted the other Jedi to the side. But Anakin fires back, saying it doesn't matter what he did and didn't do. The Force gave him visions of you dying in childbirth, and Palpatine was the only person who could help me save you. This confused Padme, perhaps because she wasn't a Force user, but she told Anakin that nothing bad has happened to her. She didn't rely on her emotions, but instead spoke calmly and explained in a logical manner why Palpatine was responsible for all of that, and that he is just a mere victim. In a way, she acted as a true Jedi would, with compassion and belief. She explains that Palpatine only uses powerful people to achieve what he desires, pawns in a long game. She recalls back to the Zabrag Sith he told her about, as well as Dooku and Grievous, all of which were cast aside when they weren't needed anymore. Palpatine doesn't care about him. Tears streamed down Anakin's face as Padme cupped her palm on his cheek. Anakin is torn and doesn't know what to think. He tries to find something to rebuttal, but he struggles. She is telling the truth. Reinforcing her words, she talks about their unborn child and how together they can save their family and help the people of the Republic before it's too late. Anakin thinks about what she is saying and weighs the pros and cons. A life of darkness and hate, where he is the Emperor and rules the galaxy, but he's alone. Or a long life, happy with his wife and kids. Padme tells him that it's okay, that together they can get through this. Anakin wasn't fully gone. If he were a true Sith, he wouldn't be crying about his actions. He could feel remorse, sorrow for hurting the ones he loved. When Sidious kills the Jedi, he becomes invigorated. As Anakin places his head into Padme's shoulder, the mystical appearance of his old master, Qui-Gon Jinn, appears. Anakin asks if it's truly him. Qui-Gon confirms his plea and tells Anakin that Padme is right, he isn't this person. He recalls back to Tatooine when they first met. He mentions his mother. The realization dawns upon Anakin, the regret, but Master Jinn informs the boy that it's not too late to do what is right, to forget his demons and bring balance to the Force. It's what Padme wants, it's what his mother would have wanted, and most of all, it's what the galaxy needs to be saved from evil. At this moment, Anakin turns back to the light. All he needed was Padme, and with Padme, anything is possible. Anakin tells her that he's going to go back to Coruscant and fight Palpatine. Killing him is the only way to end this madness. As she goes to enter her ship, he tells her to go back to Naboo until the conflict is over. She protests, but she doesn't have a choice. The two leave Mustafar forever. Anakin lands back on Coruscant and first goes to his apartment. He needs to take a moment to figure out how he will attack Palpatine. However, as he steps out of his ship, he sees his old master, Obi-Wan Kenobi, waiting in the living room. Obi-Wan ignites his sapphire blade and points it directly at Anakin, telling him to stop. Skywalker was embarrassed and didn't really know how to explain to Obi-Wan that he had turned back to the light. The Chosen One drops his lightsaber, ridding himself of his weapon as he apologizes to Obi-Wan. Anakin explains the events of Mustafar and how Padme talked sense into him. He drops to his knees as he begs for forgiveness. Obi-Wan was clearly upset. Anakin had murdered the entire Jedi Order, allowed Darth Sidious to rise to the title of Emperor, and single-handedly led to the Republic losing the Clone Wars. Anakin mentions how he spoke to Qui-Gon, something that hit Obi-Wan to his core and confirmed to the Master that Anakin had truly returned. He also understood that Anakin had been manipulated for years, played like a toy from a children's playset, and now he recognizes that he has made a mistake. Perhaps he can begin to work to make things right. Obi-Wan suddenly becomes hopeful. With Anakin on their side, perhaps they have a chance against Palpatine. Obi-Wan tells his apprentice that he can begin the path to redemption by helping them defeat Palpatine. They rush to the Senate chambers where they see flashes of green and red. Anakin felt rage boil in his stomach, but he calmed himself. Obi-Wan and Anakin would ignite their lightsabers before using a Senate pod to reach the center of the arena where they were fighting. Joining the fray, Anakin threw his lightsaber at Palpatine before leaping into the center podium and swinging with fierce intensity. Yoda was confused about what was happening, but Obi-Wan gave him a reassuring look. Although Yoda wasn't 100% certain, he didn't have a choice and decided to trust Obi-Wan's judgment. Sidious stops and curses at Anakin for what he is doing, taunting the boy with lies that Padme is going to die and it's his fault. Anakin's heart boiled, but Kenobi backed him up. They swing at each other, Anakin focusing his resolve and drawing on his attachment to Padme to bring him strength. Although he wasn't in the dark side anymore, he knew that he wasn't a Jedi. He channeled his emotions to enhance his strength, something a Sith would do and a Jedi would forbade, but Anakin was always the one to disobey orders. Sidious continues his attacks and gains the upper hand on Kenobi, the weakest person in the room. He slices Obi-Wan's arm off and uses the Force to send him plummeting to the depths below. Anakin felt his teeth grit as he re-engaged with Palpatine. The Dark Lord cackled as he mocked the Jedi, telling Anakin that he has already filled his duties by destroying the Sith. Even if he hadn't turned back to the light, he would have been killed. This only angered Anakin, and he began to fight with more speed and agility. This was combined with Yoda, who coupled his speed with Anakin, and together they became a formidable force. Palpatine had to change tactics before he was outmatched. Raising his hands, he blasted lightning from his fingertips, but Yoda was able to catch it, and Anakin took advantage with his lightsaber. One arm was firing lightning, whilst the other fended off Anakin. Before long, the combined pressure from Anakin and Yoda became too much, and Sidious couldn't hold on. He tried one last Hail Mary, but Yoda thwarted the attack, allowing Anakin to press forward and kill Darth Sidious. Anakin and Yoda had to move quickly if they were to save Obi-Wan. They take him to a secret medical bay on Coruscant, where droids give him a robotic arm and heal his wounds. Whilst this is happening, Yoda and Anakin had to address the Senate. They informed the Senate of Palpatine's death, and when senators began to accuse the Jedi of overthrowing him, Yoda presents the necessary evidence that Palpatine was a Sith Lord and orchestrated the entire war to allow himself to take over the galaxy as Emperor. Other senators, such as the ones from the delegation of 2000, began to rally to the Jedi's defense and support what they are saying. The Senate realizes their mistakes in trusting a man as devious as Palpatine and proceeds to elect Bail Organa to rebuild the Republic following their previous dictator. The Jedi make the decision to leave Coruscant to go to another planet to begin the new order. They had to start completely anew and believed that staying away from politics and the Senate was their best solution to achieving that. Anakin would meet back with Padme, who would give birth to twins and survive, much to Anakin's surprise. They were extremely happy. It took time, but Obi-Wan and Yoda were able to accept Anakin and not cast him away for his actions. He pledged that he would spend the rest of his days helping them as best as possible. Yoda even admitted the faults of the previous order and how together with Anakin's help, they can strive to create a more modern code that will create better lives for the next generation of Jedi. When old enough, Anakin's children would join the order and begin to train in the ways of the Force. They were talented, much like their father when he began his journey. Surviving Jedi of Order 66 would learn about the new order started by Yoda and travel to join it. It resided on the planet Ahch-To, where the first ever Jedi temple lay. Over the course of months, Yoda realized that more Jedi survived than he had thought. After a few decades of rebuilding, the numbers orders had began to steadily rise into the hundreds, and they were becoming a powerful force again. With the help of Kenobi and Skywalker, Grandmaster Yoda made the decision to move the order back onto Coruscant, where they can continue their crusade of being peacekeepers in the galaxy. If you enjoyed today's video, you must watch What If Anakin Killed Obi-Wan and What If Obi-Wan Didn't Leave Anakin on Mustafar. Please check out our membership page if you would like to support the channel. It really helps us out. Thank you all for watching, and may the Force be with you.